Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back to our Metro build. So, last time we built our bar, so today we're going to work on this area at the bottom of the stairs and turn it into a sort of market, which in Metro 2033 have a fairly distinct style that's kind of hard to recreate. Certainly have to upgrade the junk decoration at some point, but for now, we're going to do what we can with what we have available, as always. So most of them have little stalls with kind of cages, and they're actually kind of like the level 3 stands that we get in the game, but also kind of not, and they're a bit too iconic, so I'm not actually going to use this. Plus, I won't be able to put a vendor on them anyway. So, we're going to start over on this side. As per usual, collision gets in the way, so rug glitch it is. Nice and convenient for these, they work just fine. Although, we do have a slight bit of issue later on when it comes to a bit of decoration, so those rugs will have to come away, despite the fact they're invisible. Dead simple as always, place it on the rug, move it in. And we already have the beginnings of a structure. Going to mix and match different textures again, and try and keep things a little bit dynamic. So we've got two of the regular shack walls here, sit close enough together, them end to end. I'm using the line on the floor here to allow me to line them up properly, just makes life a little bit easier. And group select the pair straight in. For some reason, some things like this are perfectly cooperative, and we'll just go straight in with group select, whereas others will need to be rug glitched. Unfortunately, these ones, as they snap, will not rug glitch. Such is life. These ones would, but no pun intended. But, seeing as they're cooperative as well, actually quite useful how soft these are on the edges. You can literally just push them, in fact soft all over to be fair, push them right into each other. Excuse the relative darkness there. Nip around the other side and we see what we're doing. So this is going to be a combined weapons and armour vendor, and presumably run by a couple, I think. So they're going to live just behind the store as well. I have once again used Scrap That Commonwealth to pull all this trash and rubble and stuff out. It was suggested that my issues regarding not being able to build with it switched on were down to my load order, which makes sense. However, I have got it in the right place based on the mod's suggested load order, and I don't really want to mess with that in case it starts causing other problems. So while this is a minor inconvenience to have to turn it off and on again, it does work. I also discovered while I was doing this what happens if you happen to step into an area you've deleted, like we saw last time. I accidentally deleted a piece of floor I was actually standing on this time, and plummeted into the abyss. Impressively, the game knew I wasn't actually standing on a solid surface anymore. But yeah, dropped down into the abyss of nothingness, and it just dumped me right back at the start of the load zone, which was interesting. Didn't load anything, just repositioned the character back at the entrance, which was kind of a relief. I was expecting something far worse to happen. So I'm using a circular wall piece here as for the door, just for a bit of a change. I haven't used them so far. Did consider using it upstairs in the entrance area, but it didn't really work up there. Tucked in the corner here, it's not too bad. Obviously with somebody living right next to the staircase there, they're going to want to see the place sealed off a little bit more, rather than have anybody just sort of peering over into the living space. So we'll board this off. I'm going to use these unsupported junk walls for that, so the struts would just stick out into midair otherwise. They're also, with the plywood panels on them, most similar to a style that we'll see in Metro 2033 as well, so it's in keeping with the general vibe. Unfortunately, that little rim on the edge of the stairs there is impossible to sink the pillar into, so you see it pop up from time to time, so it's a little difficult to get the pillar close enough to group select, but far enough back to actually put things in, which is the problem I'm having here. You can see it better from below, which is why I've turned it around. And unfortunately it won't go right up against the pillar either. So for the second one, we're going to use a length of conduit and group select the whole lot, as that tends to be a lot more forgiving. And it makes it much, much easier to do, as you see. It's nice and easy. So we'll just plug up a couple of gaps. Again, we'll use these USO added half shack walls, as they're soft as butter. up around the other side so as you see what I'm doing again. I should probably have used the conduit here as well, but I do like to make life difficult for myself. There we go. No need to worry about the clipping too much, as they basically match up anyway, if you use the right panels anyway. There we go. Still a little bit of a gap you can peek through, but suitably scrappy. So this is one of the walls added by, I believe, makeshift junk wall pack. One of the new ones I've just picked up anyway. Which I haven't overly used because they're a bit too uniform, plus the sort of edge on the bottom of the window there's not really all that. It's a little unsightly, but I did want to mix and match a bit and do things a little differently, so we'll texture this up in a little bit and make it a bit more interesting. Unfortunately, with the mod disabled, these sort of little piles of goop and stuff get in the way of the concrete pillar, so a little bit of creativity is required to get things into place. What I'm doing here is because I'm going to rug glitch this junk wall, and it's a little uncooperative sometimes with the rug directs on the floor. Just using the pillar to lift it up, and then I'll position the wall on the top of the rug where it's floating, and you'll be able to see it pop up more, and then you know it's actually connected to the rug rather than the ground, and it will glitch properly. So I'll spin it around it from the other side. I've tried to avoid before using these ones with the tyres on, because they tend to clip through a bit too obviously. In this case I've been able to make it look mostly like it's sort of cut to fit, so the clipping's not too obnoxious. This one, however, is going in a slightly more awkward position. It's another junk wall that's retextured by USO, this one. So we'll have to use a short chain of rugs so that we can actually get the thing to go into place. And we're going to do this one reversed as well. Okay, you can see the trolley and all the concrete there are getting massively in the way. The trolley in particular is the problem, to be honest. So the idea here is to look at that right hand edge in particular and line it up with the junk fence that's already in place. That way it looks like it's directly connected to it. Sort of a single solid unit, sort of. And then line the other end up with the wall, obviously. Pillar. There we go. Here's a junk wall doorway thingamajigger. Can't group select this, but fortunately it decided to cooperate okay. I had to reposition the pillar a couple of times, but it works. And we can get through there. And on to the third and final section of the build. Or of the main structures anyway. So this one will be a doctor's office. That previous one we've just finished will be a junk trader. But as we haven't actually used any shack doorways yet, I thought we would mix things up a bit and use one of the retextured ones. Actually, it's not a retextured one, it's just one from a different area of the game that's not actually in vanilla. There we go. Was surprisingly cooperative actually for such a solid piece. For some weird reason, this particular barn piece of just warehouse piece rather, I do apologise, which is normally very forgiving, didn't want to group select from the front, so I moved the pillar around the back and it cooperated just fine. It might have worked fine if I'd moved the pillar even closer, but I prefer to have a little bit of wiggle room with that. So again, we're going to build another wall, sort of bespoke wall, make it from scratch rather than use anything, a single piece. Unfortunately that metal piece for some reason is a bit tougher than the wooden one, so we'll move the wooden one into the metal one rather than the other way around, as they'll press together much more easily that way. When it finally wants to select, we'll pop around the other side so we can see what we're doing. And there we go. Creates a less complete wall because we've got the curve on the edge there, but it also kind of breaks up the uniformity of it a little bit. There we go. Curie's starting to get in the way now. Unfortunately I can't move her outside the settlement because we're in an enclosed space, but there we go. Here's my favourite regular shack wall. I don't know why I like this one so much, it's probably because it's a bit scrappier in appearance rather than the more uniform other ones. And there we go, that's the main structure in place. Now we're going to try and retexture a little bit. So I've gone through the menus and pulled out some stuff that should be useful for that. Just dumped it on the platform here already. It saves a lot of faffing when editing if it's already all out there. And now we're just going to grab various bits and pieces and just use them to add a little bit of dynamic texture to the existing walls. Group select being our biggest friend here. You can rug glitch stuff in, but then you have problems with the rugs connecting stuff. You need to start using chains and stuff. It's generally much easier if you can just stick to group select. Or easier when you come to build something subsequently anyway. So with this one, because we've got that piece of plywood and the gunk at the bottom there getting in the way, it's a case of making sure the panel we're putting in place is at the right height for the concrete pillar when it pops up. As it won't sink in through that piece of wood, unfortunately. Wildly uncooperative. This is a capsule wall end. Unfortunately, I didn't put it in right the first time, so we get to look at us doing it again. I'm not going to show you everything I've done, just because it's very repetitive, so it's just why we're picking up the pace a little bit now. Here, I've still got the rug in place underneath, which is why it won't sink down far enough. As you can see, it's blocking up a little bit too much of the gap there, so we'll grab the thing, spin around, turn it green again, and then drop it, so that it doesn't drop down too far when we remove the rug, like that. It means we can sink the shack railing in a little bit lower, and it's a little bit more in keeping with what we've got in mind. So same thing again on this side. This was quite cooperative actually. You see the two vertical pieces? One on the left's a bit higher than the one on the right, so I didn't really want that taller one in the centre. It'll overlap a bit with the entrance of the window there, rather. Spin it round, put it against the wall, and just line it up. There we go. And very conveniently, this decided to cooperate. Decided to what? Cooperate. Oddly, it doesn't normally do that, but I was able to make it look like they're all connected as a single piece there, which I was quite happy with. And we're going to close off the gap at the top here with a piece of chain link fence. Again, this was a bit fiddly, you have to adjust it a couple of times to get the height, but there we go. That's closed off. So a couple of sandbags, and we'll put some barrels down in a minute as well, just to texture off a little bit more. And then we're simply onto the decoration phase. Which, again, I've used makeshift furniture pack and some of Aslam's workshop decoration pack, sort of in conjunction to create a more dynamic looking area. There we go. These things didn't even need any help going, which is very good. I thought I might need to lower them down a little bit to get them through the rubble there, but as it turned out I didn't. A couple of boxes. Slide those into place. I was kind of surprised that went so cooperatively just under the bench there. I think it's because it's a static item. Alright then, let's have a look at the finished product. I'll put a few more lamps on the stairs, because we've got some already in place, and it just allows us to see what we're doing a little better. A couple of posters on the walls there. Could have put a few more, but the larger ones with the different sort of levels of the panels there wouldn't look so good, but this one does sort of work with the small ones. There we go, all textured up a little bit. Sort of see into our junk vendor's little window there. I do wish we had a sign that said like armour shop or something to that effect rather than just gun shop. So this wouldn't really be in keeping with the sort of lore, but there we go. Look down this way. Unfortunately, the bloodstains should be on the floor there, but they've popped up onto the bench for some weird reason. But okay, whatever. It's a little bit of a mess, but racks and racks of junk and trash sail in here. I had meant to put mannequins in to sort of indicate the vendors, but I forgot to do so until after I'd turned all the mods off, and it would have been a pain in the neck to go back and just disable everything and put it all in, so it is what it is. Also closing doors. All my mods as always are listed in a Word doc on Google Docs. The link's down in the description for you if you want to check out what I'm using. It's our very rough and ready doctor's office. Surgery table's pretty basic, but I guess nobody's wriggling around too much when they're under anaesthetic. Can't say I rate their chances of survival very much though. So we'll take a look around the walls and have a quick look around the armour and gun shop in just a moment. So things looking much tidier. Did I forget to remove that? Yeah, some of the gold bags on the floor I didn't get rid of, that's unfortunate. I was thinking about using the Diamond City Doctor's Office sign, but it's a little big for this particular location. Nice and cleared out. The concrete pillar that's broken from there, was over this door before, was driving me nuts. I was really glad I remembered to take that out, because I couldn't actually get through that door with the pillar there. Once I put the door in place, I mean. The door frame was fine. Oh, there we go. Mixture of Asylum stuff and the workshop. Oh, I can never remember the name of these mods. Yeah, makeshift furniture. That's the one. There we go. Very, very Spartan living arrangement, but that's both Fallout and Metro for you. So, coming up next week, as you may have noticed, we've passed the 1,000 milestone, which is absolutely awesome. So, hopefully on Wednesday evening, we should be having a little bit of a celebration for that. So, I do hope you'll stop by. I'm going to give you a bit of an update in the meantime, so keep an eye out for that. For now, thank you very much for watching. Social media links in the description, and I'll be speaking to you very, very soon.